Way the Oscar season's looking, I'm not gonna lie, Rose Byrne deserves at least an Oscar nomination for her performance in this. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today I'm discussing If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. This is about a mother whose life is crashing down around her. Linda attempts to navigate her child's mysterious illness, her absent husband, a missing person that she very much cares for as one of her patients, and an increasingly hostile relationship with her therapist. And honestly, a lot more than that synopsis reads. This is, of course, directed and written by Mary Bronstein and again stars Rose Byrne. And man, this movie had me. It is such an incredibly tense, panic attack inducing experience. And I think the best way that I can parallel it to is that this is very much seeing, especially if you've never gone through a mental breakdown or a psychotic breakdown or had any sort of breakdown in terms of your mental health and exhaustion, this is the movie that will showcase to you the worst of worst for that. But also what this film shows you in two different lights. I think in some ways it's a psychological drama. I think in some ways it's a horror film. And I think in other ways it can be showcasing a superhero movie. And I say that in so many different degrees is because this film captures the worst parts about motherhood, but also why moms are so fucking awesome. And this movie made me love and respect my wife, who has been doing an amazing year in our first year of having a son. His first birthday is coming right around the corner, and she's done an amazing job being a mom. Did an incredible job through the 9 months of pregnancy, and of course did an amazing job throughout this whole entire year of taking care of him and very much showing me the ropes, because she's the one that has been around a lot of babies and kids and knows so much more than I would. And I thoroughly love what she was able to do this year. And this movie very much made me appreciate her even more, because a lot of the things that she's vented to me about or showcased to me, especially with what she feels for our son, you see throughout this movie. And it very much puts you into the forefront, into the footsteps of Rose Byrne's character, to every sort of mentally exhausting situation that you could possibly have. And this is literally the worst week of her life. As I mentioned, everything in the synopsis she's dealing with, but there's also 50 other things she also has to deal with in here. And that is something that, again, as a father and as a provider, that's something that I definitely feel sometimes. But it's like a different degree to a mom. And again, this just goes as far to show why moms are very much the superheroes of our world. But also, this film details the horrors of not being able to think, having that mental exhaustion, not being able to escape, not being able to have a single second to yourself. And it shows how much self-care is important to ourselves and to our lives. But moms sometimes don't get that at all. And If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You showcases that to such an entirely incredible degree. And a lot of that's from the directing, the writing, and specifically Rose Byrne's performance. So I'm very excited to talk about this movie today. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below. And diving into this, really much Rose Byrne's performance, I think, should be the highlight of this. I think if you want to experience a mental breakdown for 2 hours, this is the movie for you. If you want to experience motherhood and how stressful it can be, this is the movie for you. Probably going to be a little bit nightmarish for some moms out there. But if you want to see one of the best performances of the year and one that absolutely should be nominated for an Oscar, see this movie. Rose Byrne Rose Byrne's completely very underrated. I love her comedic performances. I love her dramatic performances. And I think this is hands down the best performance I've ever seen from her, bar none. And I think the way that she details and showcases this character is from the exhaustion, some of her mannerisms, some of her breakdowns, some of her psychotic nature, and some of the stuff that you just very much feel for her. If you've ever been mentally exhausted in life because so many things are going on and you feel like all your senses are being attacked, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You very much shows that to such a high degree. But it's one way to write and direct it. It's another way to trust your actor to very much be able to put that into the forefront and bring that to life. And while there's a lot of themes and thematics with things kind of going on through her life, on just the surface level capture of it all, you see all that anguish and all that pain that she feels from wanting to love and care so much. She's for the most part, doing everything because she loves her daughter so much. She wants to accomplish and do all these different things because she feels responsible for this illness that her daughter has. And it's things like that that very much bring to life so many different avenues. And I think that's one thing that, if you're not diving a little bit deeper into the character's life, you're missing out on so many different avenues of what she is trying to feel. And I think some people might misdirect what her motivations are and why she continues to do this. But it's because in the end of the day, she just wants to be a good fucking mom. She's caring, she's loving, even though she is exhausted. And she's not caring and loving for herself. She's caring and loving for her daughter, for her family. She's wanting to be the best, even if, all these different avenues. And it's a character that I think in some degrees, if written wrong or performed wrong, the character could be absolutely terrible to carry through. But all I could feel for her is cheer for her to get through these events, cheer for her to get that mental break, and just in general, cheer for her to get through this week. It's something that I very much acclaim and love that the film was able to establish and bring to life. And I think, again, it is hands down one of the best things about this film. On top of that, the writing and directing. As I mentioned, the acting is the sole part that should bring all that to life. But Mary Bronstein's directing and writing here, I think truly enough, is show-stopping. Again, very much telling a story and showcasing the horrors of motherhood, but also the greatest avenues of it. And there's a lot of intentional things kind of put out here into a very thematical way that, again, showcase and go towards that motherhood avenue, and especially helping with the motivations and not having to just detail it and show it or have her say it. And some of those goes to the daughter. They do not show the daughter's face, and it's very intentional for them to not show the daughter's face throughout this movie. Why do they not show the daughter's face? Is to put emphasis on Rose Byrne, to put emphasis on everything that she is feeling. And that is one thing that Mary Bronstein, as a director and writer, was able to elevate. And that's a very risky choice, but I actually really appreciated it. There's certain things that they said to start to do towards the end of the film that I think kind of brings the whole thing full circle, but I very much love that choice. But there's also other thematical choices detailing with a hole that's in the daughter, as well as a hole that came through in her apartment that's still not fixed. It's elements like that that kind of add to maybe the hole in our lives and the hole of exhaustion and this deep, dark abyss that sometimes we find ourselves when we're just in a mental exhaustion state and we just feel like we can't catch a break. It's all these little things that shatter and break. And I really love how, on a thematical level, there's so many different things that you can very much dive into within If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. But then on a very much just pathos of life, it gives you, again, that appreciation of loving your mother a little bit more, of appreciating what moms do, and especially everything that they do feel. It's more than what the father can feel. And it's something that I feel like some will disagree with that statement, but I fully agree to it. It's something that I've definitely realized with my wife, and specifically if our son gets hurt or if he's sick or if anything like that, it's like, while I care and I want the best for that, it's like she has this whole extra other degree to it that is just unfathomable. And to some degree, sometimes she feels like she has to blame herself for it, just as Rose Byrne character does in here. And as moms and even as parents, I think sometimes we feel judged. We feel like everyone's trying to judge us around how we're trying to raise our son or raise our kid, and kind of go through these different themes. And that is another thing that she very much feels through here, is that she feels other people are judging her, even though, again, sometimes there are reasons for that. I remember even before I had a kid and even before my wife was pregnant, you go to a theme park or a restaurant and you hear a kid screaming and crying, and you're sitting there, you're like, come on now, like, do something. Now, like, you take them to an R-rated horror film and you bring an 11-month-old and you're sitting there trying to rock them. I think that's a little bit disrespectful. I'll still stick to that. Even as a parent, I think that's disrespectful. We've definitely made the choice to not take my son to the movies yet because of that. But like at dinner, pick them up, take them outside, rock them, do what you have to do. But as now being a parent, I fully understand it a little bit more. I fully do. And it's those things that judgmental tone, that judgmental thing that people have towards us. And sometimes it's like, okay, well, do you have a kid? If you don't, you might not understand what I'm feeling. And I think If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You will very much detail this for so many different people in different ways. And I think if you don't have a kid yet, it might kind of showcase that, like, a little bit of appreciation more for what parents do, and especially mothers. But if you're a husband or a father, maybe this will give you a little bit of more appreciation for your wife. Even if you already do appreciate her, you'll appreciate her more. Or maybe even your own mom and what she had to detail with you. This is just a movie that, again, goes for it in such a fabulous way. And that's all from the directing and writing standpoint, of the way that it's able to bring to life. Alongside that, the sound design, the cinematography, a lot of these avenues, I never felt bored. I always wanted to just kind of keep clamoring and to see where the next day would take us, hoping for that breakthrough in life, just as we as human beings, if we are experiencing something like this, would want to. It's a very engaging movie that never for a second lets up on its very much a mentally exhausting state, but it is something that I very much thoroughly, I can't say I enjoyed, but is one that I'm happy that I experienced with. Like, it's one of those movies that it's like hard to say that, oh, I like that movie. Because it's not a movie that technically you should like because of the experience that you have, but it is an experience that I think people should go through. And I think this is one of those A24 movies that I would highly recommend due to all those different avenues. So if you can't tell, I really liked If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I continue to still think about this movie. Like, it's been about a couple of hours and I'm still finding more reasons to like the movie. Like, because walking out of the movie, I was like, yeah, that was a good experience. But like driving home, sitting on it, talking about it more, it's just one of those movies that, as the more time goes on, I can see myself loving it more. And the more time that goes on, I can only see myself recommending it more. I think this is one of the best movies of 2025. And for me, I truly am, I'm in love with it. Before we get to my final thoughts, definitely make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts as well. I cannot wait to hear your guys' thoughts on this. And while we're at it, why don't we talk about our favorite Rose Byrne performance other than this movie? Let me know down there. And my review, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, I think is such a strong, strong feature. It's one that is a horror movie, a superhero movie, a psychological drama, and one that will probably maybe put you into a panic attack itself, specifically from the psychotic breakdown that you're going to feel watching this movie. It's a movie that's going to make you appreciate mothers to a whole other degree, whether you are a mom of yourself, maybe even giving yourself a pat on the back, or maybe a father, a husband, a friend of a mother's. There's so many different avenues to this that you could possibly different explore. But I really was thoroughly impressed with this movie, specifically from a directing and writing style, but also because of Rose Byrne's performance, which absolutely should be nominated at the Oscars this year. I don't know if she should win because there's still a couple movies up in the air, but as of right now, if the Oscars tomorrow and I could only vote on what I've seen, this would probably be one of those top 5 performances of this year. All that said, I'm going to give If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You a 4 out of 5. Thank you so much again, guys, for watching this. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts, and of course, until next time, stay classy.